I don't know how you'd ever pick a more all-American home for an all-American boy who played baseball for the Wampus Kittens and is, at this moment, on the way to the moon. This is the Arnold Bean residence, the home of the parents of Fort Worth's man on the way to the moon. Inside, with the family, is newsman Gene Thomas.
Well, I was not greatly concerned. I was hoping that nothing would happen to make them abort the mission. That was what I was worried about, because Alan has waited a long time, and I wanted him to go through with it.
What goes through your mind as you think about your son on his way to the moon, a distance of more than 230,000 miles? As a parent, what do you think about?
Well, I'm happy for him. I think that's a great adventure.
Mrs. Bean, how about your feelings?
Well, I feel that the mission is going to be successful, but I'll really be happy when they're back on the ship again.
Old Glory has flown proudly in a lot of places, but seldom more proudly than here in Fort Worth today. This is Jerry Taff with Gene Thomas, Channel 8 News, Fort Worth.
We have called for a peaceful, nonviolent march to the Federal Building. And we'd like for everybody to keep it that way. The police will be there. The police will be having everything taken care of. We're gonna pause for a few minutes right now, so we'll give you a little bit of time to finish up with your signs and get them all finished, and sign the refusal list and sign your postcards and get them back to us, and then we will form up to go. It'll just be 10 minutes.
Well, I think that the first moratorium day had no appreciable effect. I don't expect the second one to, on policy. I don't believe that there is even as much national sentiment for the second moratorium period as there was for the first. I think in the intervening time, since the President has made his restatement of policy on Vietnam, that he's rallied quite a considerable amount of public support. According to the Gallup poll, 77% agreed with the President's presentation and his position.
Mr. Wasilewski, as President of the National Association of Broadcasters, what was your impression of Vice President Agnew's speech last night?
Well, I thought his attack upon the credibility and news judgment, veracity of the network news personnel was unwarranted and unjustified. I think that no matter whether you agree or disagree with him, anytime a high governmental official impugns the motivations of news people, you have to be, as an American citizen, somewhat concerned about such matters. But I think that the fact that the television networks all carried Vice President Agnew's speech last night in full will long be remembered by the American public as having seen it on television live, which indicates to me the basic fairness of our broadcast medium.
Now, do you feel that he was asking for government supervision of the networks and of the news media?
It didn't come through clear to me as to exactly what he was asking for, but I think that's the alternative that he was, in effect, implying. And I think when you consider that alternative, I would rather much disagree entirely and totally with all newsmen and what they say on radio and television than to have governmental intervention, or, as he referenced, Hitler's way that he handled news to be operative in this country of ours.
What I particularly referred to is the patient who, let's say, is 105 years old and who for the past 10 years has had an incapacitating stroke, where the patient can't move, where the patient can't speak, where the patient can't control the use of his or her bladder or his or her bowel, and that the patient has bed sores, and this patient then goes into a state where there is no breathing, where there is no heartbeat, where there is what looks like brain death. In that situation, to prolong artificially, by artificial means, the life of such a patient seems to me that we're overstepping our boundaries in that regard. In other words, just having them survive purely on a machine basis when all of the functions of life have gone.
Auctions always attract attention, if for no other reason than people like to hear auctioneers. That's not the case here, but this sale has attracted a lot of attention and a lot of money. Thousands of bidders are here for the 4-day auction sale of the former Dolese Antique Collection from Oklahoma City. The bidders come from as far away as New York and Florida, as well as from throughout the Southwest. The total value of these items is close to $1 million. Perhaps getting the most attention is all the hand-carved wall paneling from the Hampstead House in England, which will be sold Saturday. The late 17th century, early Christopher Wren paneling was taken off the walls and shipped to America years ago. We talked with Mrs. George G. Golden and Mrs. James K. Ross about bidding on antiques such as this.
Perfectly exquisite, but of course it takes a mansion, you know, a large place, but they are beautiful, lovely.
Would you like to have paneling like that in your own house?
Yes, I would. I really would.
Why do you come out here to bid on antiques?
Well, this is my first time, and my neighbors have told me about it, and I'm very interested in it, and it looks very interesting.
Well, if they're beautiful, I like them. Not just because they're antiques, but something that appeals to me from a beauty standpoint.
Sold, $55. This sale continues through Sunday and is considered quite a feather in Dallas' cosmopolitan cap, since sales of such magnitude are usually held in New York or some other such cultural center. In fact, it is believed that some of the agents are here in Dallas looking for antiques to buy and take back to Europe, where they came from originally. This is Roger McDonald, Channel 8 News.